Hello and welcome to Evernote 201. In this video, we're going to talk about how to get our information into Evernote and the variety of ways that we can format that information. If you haven't watched Evernote 101, an introduction to the Mac client, I recommend that you do that, as I won't be taking the time to explain the details of the interface in this screencast. Let's get started. As I mentioned in the first video, Evernote does four things really well with your data. It helps capture it, organize it, retrieve it, and share it. In this video, we're going to focus primarily on the capturing aspect of Evernote and all the ways that we can get information into our Evernote account. Let's start with the basics, creating notes. So there's a variety of ways that we can create notes inside and outside of the Evernote client. First, we can select the File option and on the drop-down menu select New Note. Optionally, we can click the New Note button here in the toolbar. We can also use the hotkey sequence Command-N, and that will create a new note, as you can see there. We can also create notes even if we're outside of the Evernote client. So for example, let's say I am browsing this interior design web page, or I could be using my email client or anything else, and I remember something that I want to make a note of. Well, I can simply use the hotkey sequence Command-Control-N, and that will take me back to my Evernote client and create a note and put my cursor right here in the title so I can begin typing right away. Another way that you can get information into your Evernote account is through email. Every Evernote account comes with a custom email address that you can use to send information directly into your account. If you don't know what your email address is, you can find it using the user drop-down menu here, selecting account info, and your email address will be listed right here. Let me show you how to send information to your Evernote email account. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and create a few new notebooks in my client. I like to have an inbox and an archive notebook. Let me go ahead and speed through this for you. That was fast. So as you can see, now I have an inbox notebook and an archive notebook. Let me jump over to my email client now. Alright, so we're starting off with a blank email. In the body of the email, I'm going to put the contents of the note. And in this case, it's this really good quote that I heard. There we go, there's the quote. And in the subject line, I'm going to put the title of the note. And there's a great title. Now I can tell Evernote in the subject line which notebook I want this note to be stored in. And since by default I like to have all my notes show up in my inbox first, kind of like my email client, I'm going to tag this with an @ symbol and the name of the notebook that I want it to show up in. I can optionally also include tags using the hash symbol or the pound symbol and typing the name of the tag. So personal development, and I'm going to give this one more tag, ideas. Alright, that's it. All I have to do is put in the email address for my Evernote account, click send, and it'll show up in my inbox. Let's see how that works. Now before that new note will show up in my inbox, I'll need to sync my Evernote client, so I'm going to click the sync button here in the toolbar. And you can see that my inbox now has one note in it, so let's check this out. And there it is. It's just that simple. The great thing about having an Evernote email account is that you can direct any online service like Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Alto, Twitter, Google Voice to use that Evernote email account to send information to, so that automatically your emails, your tweets, your voicemails and texts come directly into your Evernote inbox. There are two things to remember if you're going to be emailing information into your Evernote account. First, if you're going to be sending an email to a newly created notebook, make sure that you sync your Evernote client before sending the email. And secondly, if you're going to be including both notebook and tag information in the email subject line, make sure to include the name of the notebook first. Evernote also makes two really great browser extensions that help to gather information into your Evernote account. That's the Evernote Web Clipper and Evernote Clearly browser extensions. Now, I already have mine installed, so let me skip right to a demonstration. I really like the author John Maxwell, so let me do a search for John Maxwell articles. Okay, and let's go ahead and visit John's blog. Doing this, we'll be able to demonstrate both the Clearly browser extension as well as the Web Clipper extension. So let's find one that looks good here. There we go, how to get more done in less time. Okay, this looks really good. After all, who doesn't want to get more done in less time? So I want to save this information, but I don't necessarily want these menus on the top and the side, and Probably don't want these comments at the bottom either. So there's two ways we can do this. I can either select the Evernote Clearly extension to clean the page up and reduce it down to its main content, or I can select the Evernote Web Clipper and have it clip just the article content that I want. But there's a lot of options here, so let me go through them real quick. First, as you can see, the Evernote Web Clipper app icon appears right here in my toolbar. If I just click on that, it gives us a number of options. So you can see by default, the Web Clipper tries to select just the content that it believes is the article on this page, and it does a really good job. Second, it gives me the option for changing the title. I can also select which of my notebooks it should be deposited into. I can also add tags and add comments. Comments are great if you want to make sure that you remind yourself later on why it was that you clipped this particular content. We also have this drop-down button right here where I can select whether or not I want to save the article, the full page, or the URL. The reason that the Save Selection and Save PDF options are grayed out right now is that I did not select any portion of this web page to save. The Web Clipper selected the article on its own. The Save PDF function is grayed out because this is a web page, not a PDF. I'm going to go ahead and click off of this Options menu. And that goes away and gives me my normal web page view back again. The other way that I can save this information is first by selecting the Evernote Clearly browser extension button. What that does is it re-renders the web page and displays what it believes is only the main content of the web page. As you can see, it does a really good job removing the navigational elements as well as the comments at the bottom, and gives a very pleasant, clean reading experience. Once I've used Clearly, I can select the Web Clipper again and clip just this cleaned up content. So sometimes I'll use both of these two extensions simultaneously, first Clearly and then the Web Clipper. If I wanted to select just a portion of this article to save, let's say this portion about knowing your purpose, I can highlight it like this, select the Web Clipper, and you can see that the button defaults to Save Selection, and it only highlights the portion that I highlighted. And I could add any tags or comments that I might want. Now I noticed earlier when I clicked the Web Clipper button, it gave me a pretty generic title, The John Maxwell Company. I don't want to use that as my title. I want the name of the article as my title. So let me go ahead and copy that, paste it right there. The inbox is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and add some tags. That looks good. I don't have any comments to make, so I'll select Save Article. Let's jump back to our Evernote client and sync. And that note from the Web Clipper should show up. And there it is. Fantastic. And there are two other main ways that we can get information into Evernote. We can scan information in, and we can also use the smart notebooks that Evernote created. I personally use the Fujitsu ScanSnap S1500, but any scanner will do, since any file that the scanner creates can be added to a note as an attachment. Evernote also makes a smart notebook. I do have to give a disclaimer here. I haven't used the smart notebook for Evernote. I don't even own an iPhone or an Android. I actually don't even own a smartphone. I do have an iPad though, which, as you might expect, does have Evernote installed, but I haven't invested in the smart notebook just yet. That means, unfortunately, that I can't give you any direction in this area, but there are some great tutorial videos online. Let's go back to the Evernote client, and let me show you some ways that you can format the contents of your notes. So we'll work with this article that we clipped earlier from John Maxwell, and you'll notice that when I click inside the note content to begin editing it, that this toolbar up here that has the created and updated fields will change to a formatting bar. Now I could go through this article, changing a whole bunch of formatting options, trying to get it to look the way that I want it to, but there's actually a really easy way to simplify the formatting here. We'll select the Format menu up here and choose Simplify Formatting. Of course, you can also use the Shift Command F hotkey sequence. Now you notice in the note that all the special formatting, font sizes, background colors, and so on have been removed. This makes for a much better starting point. I'm going to go ahead and start by removing some of the unneeded formatting elements. And there we go. Now let me demonstrate some of the other options we have for formatting. As you can see, this entire note is in the same font family, but If I wanted to change the entire note or any part of the note, I could highlight that section and select a different font family to use. So I'm going to select the title here and choose the font family of Georgia. I do like how Georgia looks, and I'm going to make it nice and big. There we go. Get rid of the date, that's not really important. And I want to make these sections bold, so I can select the bold key up here, or I can use the hotkey sequence command B. Now that that's done, I want to highlight this particular paragraph because this is the one that I thought was especially important earlier. So I'm going to use a different color. Excellent. Now, if I wanted to change the size of the font here, let's say I thought it was too small and I wanted to make it bigger, I can highlight it all and select the size that I want here. Let's say 14. But let's say that 14 wasn't quite big enough, but 18 is too big. You can select a non-default font size by using the Command plus and Command minus keys. So you notice that I hit the key sequence there and the 14 changed to a 15. I'll hit it again and you'll see that it changes to a 16, an option that wasn't available here in the menu, but I can still access it by using those hotkey sequences. I actually think 14 looks the best in this case. There's another formatting option that I want to show you that doesn't appear here on the toolbar. The bold, italicize, and underline options obviously are all there. But let's say that I wanted to remove or note that a particular block of text was not important to me or that I didn't like it. So I can highlight that portion of text, select Format, Style, and Strike Through, so that I still have that information, but it's struck through so that I know in the future, if I'm looking at this note, that I didn't agree with that particular portion of the article. So there are some simple ways that you can format the font in this article. Of course, I can also select this information and align it in any way that I want, center or over to the right, but the left makes most sense in this case. There are a number of other formatting options in Evernote, and to demonstrate those, I'm going to create a new note for my reading list. And let's see, I have 5 books that I want to read. That's a pretty ambitious set of titles. Let me see how this looks as a bulleted list. Okay, and how about a numbered list? Actually, I think the numbered list will work best here because that's actually the order that I want to read these books in. I do have some other books that I want to read, but not in any particular order. Let's see if a bulleted list will work for those. Alright, I think this list might actually look even more daunting than the first one. The bulleting for this second list makes a lot of sense, so I'll leave it like that. Let's create another note, and this note will be for my morning checklist, and I'll use it to show off the checkbox, tables, and horizontal break formatting options inside Evernote. Alright, let's give this note a title. And now I'll create a list of the things that I want to make sure that I do every morning. That looks like a good list. Now I could make this bulleted or numbered, but since it's a list of to-dos, I can actually use the checkbox button right here to add a cool little checkbox next to each of these items that I can click and it checks it off. I can click it again and it unchecks it. Now I could go through this entire list and check each item individually, or I could select the entire list, click the checkbox icon, and as you can see it adds a checkbox next to each of those items. Alright, so now I have my morning checklist. I'm going to add a horizontal break in here because there's a new section of information that I want to include. As you can see, this horizontal break makes a great visual divider between the information inside of my note. I'm going to use the table function so that I can track how well I stick to my morning checklist. Let's see, I think I need 8 rows and probably 3 columns. There we go. Now, the maximum number of rows and columns that you can have when you create a table is 30. However, you can add columns and rows later after the table's already been created. The percentage width here means the width of the page. Now you can actually set this to be as small as 1%, and you can also set it to be bigger than the page. So I could make this 200%, and what would happen is the table would extend beyond the width of the page. You wouldn't be able to see the right-hand side of the table, and we don't want that, so we'll stick with 100%. Now I've used less percents in some cases, but what I found is that I usually end up adding data later and wish that I had created the table at 100% the width of the page. Now while I can go in and add rows and columns, I can't go in and change the width of the table inside the Mac client. So it's important to make sure that you have this right when you first start. There we go. And I'm going to give this table some headers: day, checklist, and notes. And I'm going to format these. Just go ahead and highlight, center, bold, and make those nice and big. And then I'm going to put in the days of the week. And I'm going to put my checklist in this column for each day of the week. So I just copied and pasted it. That looks great. Now for each day, I can go ahead and check off each of the items that I complete on that particular day. And if I happen to not complete every item, or I just want to make some notes to myself, I can make them here in the notes column. Obviously, this table is extremely flexible and you can use it for whatever you want. For example, let's say that I wanted to include my evening checklist in here as well. So I'll change the title of the note, morning and evening checklist. And then inside each of these notes, I can add a horizontal break. And underneath that horizontal break, I can start a new list of checkboxes for my evening routine. And just like we did with the morning checklist, I can copy this evening checklist and paste it into each of the days below. And again, it's entirely up to you how you want to use these tables, these checklists, and the fonts and formatting options that Evernote makes available. One of the final things we're going to talk about are attachments. And Evernote handles attachments really, really well. Now, of course, the maximum size of a note depends on whether or not you have a free versus a paid account, but in any case, you can attach most files to an Evernote note really, really easily. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could do it. For example, I can create a new note, and then once I've highlighted the content area, select the little paperclip icon, which is for attachments. Go to my desktop and select this picture of Phil Libin, the CEO of Evernote. So let me give this note a title. There we go, Portrait of Phil Libin. That looks good. So there's a much better way of importing multiple attachments than creating a new note and selecting the paperclip icon to make an attachment. I actually have 3 files that I want to import. I can highlight all 3 of these files and simply drag them to the filtered notes section. You'll see that Evernote processes them and quickly creates a new note for each of those files using the name of that file as the title for the note. And you can see that we have a variety of attachments. So here is an audio file, an MP3 from the Mike's on Mike podcast. That's a great episode if you guys haven't listened to that. We also have a PDF here of the Life Hackers Manifesto. And we have a video from YouTube of a dubstep beatboxer. So you can see Evernote really easily handles a variety of file types as attachments. And it's not just PDFs, audio files, videos, and images that Evernote works really well with. You can also use things like spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, and pretty much any other file that you want to attach, Evernote will handle for you, as long as it doesn't exceed the maximum note size that your account permits. We're almost done, and there are just a few more things that I want to show you before we wrap things up today. Evernote has a really convenient audio note-taking feature built right in. So here's a new note, and I'm going to click the microphone icon here in the toolbar. And as you can see, an audio toolbar drops down with a record button, a cancel button, and as you can see, it also has a volume meter that is responding as I'm speaking right now. So whenever I would want to record something, whether or not that's my voice or a conference call that I'm participating in, perhaps it's the audio from a video, I can record that simply by clicking the record button. So you can see that changes to a save button, the microphone icon in the toolbar turns red, and the counter here starts counting down. And you can record for a very, very long time. In fact, you can record as long as the note still has space left in it. So if I would click save right now, you see that it drops that audio file into my note as an attachment, and I can click play.
Clicking the record button, you can see that changes to a save button.
I don't know if you can hear that audio on your end, but on my end, it sounds great. Another thing that Evernote allows you to do very easily is capture an image from your Eyesight camera. So let's grab a snapshot. There I am. And we'll select Use. And there we go. Okay, whew, oh, that's scary. Let's skip over to another note. That's much better. Anyway, you can see that being able to capture those images directly into your Evernote account can be really, really useful. Last but not least, since we're talking about capturing and being able to store all of our information inside our Evernote account, I think we need to talk about Evernote Premium. Now, the free Evernote service is fantastic, but if you're serious about this, Evernote Premium is the way to go. Now, there are a lot of benefits to Evernote Premium, but there are just a few that I want to highlight. The first is supersized uploads. Now, basically what that means is that you get to upload more to the Evernote servers every month. Another great one is note history. So notes change over time, and it's wonderful to be able to go back and see what that note looked like a week or a month ago. And that's what note history allows you to do. Second, faster image recognition. Evernote makes images containing printed or handwritten text searchable. That's what the copy here says. And as a premium user, it'll process your images faster. Next is the ability to share notes with other people so that they can make edits that you see and you can make edits that they see. Premium users also have a larger maximum size for their notes. So currently that's 100 megabytes, but that's always changing, so it's always a good idea to check. And last but not least, PDF search. So if you put a PDF into Evernote, like that Life Hackers manifesto that we looked at earlier, Evernote will actually show you results from PDFs when you use the search tool inside of Evernote. No more having to open the PDF and then do a Command F to try to find what you're looking for. And that's it. We've reached the end of Evernote 201. Thanks for watching.